In the previous video I had solved a non-sway frame. So what we'll do is we'll start solving a sway frame. If you have any difficulty while solving a non-sway frame, you can send it to me so that I'll try to solve it in this video sessions. Okay, but I would like you to solve more number of question paper problems so that you will find out the difficulty in solving any of the problems, so that you will approach to me. Okay, anyhow, now what we'll do is we'll move on to the sway frames. So as we know the conditions of sway frame, so there are several conditions that I had already explained. The thing is that the unequal or unsymmetric condition of length section, or if there is a horizontal force, or if there is unequal loading, and then there are different joint supports. If these are the conditions, if any of the conditions satisfy, this will sway, right? So all those four conditions or five conditions that I explained you earlier, you can verify with this given frame and try to identify whether this frame is going to sway or not. Okay, so anyhow, the same thing that this problem is basically solved in slope deflection also. The same problem I'm taking here to solve this, so that we'll cross verify the unknown values that we calculate. Okay, now let us take this frame. So in this frame, which is having a concentrated load on the beam, which is BC, and then there are two columns AB and CD. Okay, now once we take this frame, now the next thing what we do is to identify the degree of freedom. So there are 3 degrees of freedom in this given frame. Let us identify what are those. You already know that this frame is going to sway. If there is a sway that is going to take place horizontally, we call it as translation, right? So we need to include the first degree of freedom as translation. Okay, now the next two kinematic indices are at joint B and joint C, which are rotations. Okay, these are internal joints which are going to rotate, so that's why theta B and theta C exist, which are rotational moments. So whenever there is rotation, you use to apply moment, because if you want to create a rotation for any member, so what you do is that you apply the moment. Now imagine if you want to make it sway, if it is going to sway, we need to apply a force. See here, I have applied a force. Earlier for rotation I used to apply movement. To create a sway or to create a translation, I am going to apply the force. So as I told you, there are 3 degrees of freedom. One is sway and the other 2 are rotations. Okay, now I am giving this as my first coordinate. So this is my first coordinate 1. Now these are the other 2 coordinates, which is second and third, which is theta B and theta C. So delta, theta B, theta C will be my 3 kinematic indices. According to the 3 kinematic indices, I have assigned the 3 coordinates. Okay, so what we do is we basically apply the unit force at all the joints and at all the coordinates, and then we will try to determine the forces. Okay, so let us start doing that. So as we know that we need to apply a unit force over here. So by applying the unit force, we need to determine how much is the moment that is getting generated at all the ends. Okay, so let us see here. If I apply a unit rotation at this point, so because of that, this frame is going to sway like this. Okay, and the moments that are generated in these 2 columns are minus 6 EI delta divided by L square, minus 6 EI delta divided by L square in the first column, which is my column AB. Now similarly for column CD, again there are 2 moments which are generated, which are called minus 6 EI delta divided by L square and minus 6 EI delta divided by L square, which you already know. Okay, so these are the moments which are created because of application of unit force at this joint. Okay, now once this is done, the next thing what we'll do is we'll try to identify how much is the reaction that is generated because of these moments being applied. Okay, once we have understood that these are the moments which are created by the application of unit force at this point, now let us try to determine these reactions that are generated at these points. Okay, now how to do that? First what I'll do is I'll take the column which is AB. So now this column is subjected to a moment like this, which is minus 6 EI divided by 6 square, and here also minus 6 EI divided by 6 square. Okay, now here you can see that I have written delta everywhere. As we know, delta is equals to 1, so this will become minus 6 EI divided by 6 square and minus 6 EI divided by 6 square. Now I can eliminate them also, okay, because they are unit in nature. Okay, so this is how I have removed the delta value. Okay, so this is what left over is. Now what we'll do is we'll try to determine how much is the reaction that is generated here. So let me call this as some RA. Okay, so if I have to calculate how much is the reaction here, what I do is I take the summation at A or B. Okay, let me take the summation at the B so that I'll calculate how much is RA. So RA into, what is this? This is clockwise. RA into 6 minus of 6 EI divided by 6 square minus of 6 EI divided by 6 square will be equal to 0. Okay, now from this you can calculate how much is RA. RA will be equals to 12 EI divided by 6 cube. Okay, so the reaction that is generated over here is equals to 12 EI divided by 6 cube. Similarly, in the column CD also, the reaction that is generated will be equal to 12 EI divided by 6 cube. So this has been done. Okay, so now what is the next step? So these are the forces and moments that we have calculated because of application of unit force, or sorry, by creating the unit sway at this joint. Okay, now once this is done, what is the next step? We will apply the unit rotation at joint B, which is our second coordinate, and later we will apply the unit rotation at coordinate 3. Okay, so let us apply the unit rotation at coordinate 2. Okay, so if I am applying the unit rotation at this point, so this is the unit rotation that is created. Because of that, moment that will be generated in BC and BA will be 4 EI by 6 and 4 EI by 6. Okay, now similarly you can carry over to the other side, which is CB. It will be 2 EI by 6, and the same will be carried over to this side. It will be equal to 2 EI by 6. Okay, now once this is done, what we do is we will take this column and find out the reactions again. So can you find out the reactions and see how much you will get? Okay, so the reaction that you may get here is 4 EI plus of 2 EI by 6 divided by 6. Okay, so this will be equal to 4 plus 2, it will be equal to 6. So 6 EI divided by 6 square. Okay, so this is what the value will get. Now once you have solved this reactions and all the moments, what is the next step? Next step is to go to third coordinate and apply the unit rotation. So let us apply the unit rotation at the third coordinates. So again at the third coordinate I have applied the unit rotation. Because of that, at member CD the moment is 4 EI by 6, and for CB it is 4 EI by 6 again. So the carryover moment on the other side, it will be equal to 2 EI by 6 for BC, and for DC it will be 2 EI by 6. We can calculate the reactions from these two moments in the column CD. Okay, so it will be 4 EI by 6 plus of 2 EI by 6, so it will be 6 EI by 6 square. Okay, you try to solve this and determine how much is the reaction that you get here and here. Okay, so once you have solved all this, what is the next thing what we need to do? The next thing we need to do is to develop the stiffness matrix. So let us develop the stiffness matrix over here. So to develop the stiffness matrix, as we know, there are the terms called K11, K12, K13, K21, K22, K33, K23, like that, likewise. Okay, now let us first solve K11, K21 and K31. So these are the stiffness values which are generated because of application of unit force or moment at the first coordinate. Okay, so this is my first coordinate. At the first coordinate I have applied the unit displacement. Okay, so because of this unit displacement or translation, these are the moments that were created. Now let us first figure out, because of application of force here, how much is the force that is to be developed here to create this way. The force that is required over here will be equivalent to these two reactions. Okay, so as we know that summation of all the horizontal force will be equal to 0, so the force that is required to create this unit displacement will be equivalent to these two reactions. So I will take the summation of these two reactions and I will write here it will be equal to 24 EI divided by 6 cube. Okay, so what we will write over here, so K11 is the force which is required to create unit displacement, which is equals to 24 EI divided by 6 cube. Okay, now similarly, what is the moment that is generated because of application of unit displacement? It will be minus 6 EI divided by 6 square at the second coordinate, and similarly at the third coordinate also it is equals to minus 6 EI divided by 6 square. Now this completes my first column. Okay, now once you complete the first column, you will go to the second. Okay, to solve the second column, what we do is you will apply the unit rotation at the second coordinate and you will determine all the moments and forces. Okay, now let us determine how much is the force required, sorry, how much is the force that is generated because of application of unit rotation at this point. So whatever the reaction that you get here will be the same force that is generated over here, which is equals to minus 6 EI divided by 6 square. Okay, so minus 6 EI divided by 6 square. Now how much is the moment? So now how much is the moment that is generated at the second coordinate? Okay, so the moment that is generated equal to 4 EI by 6 plus of 4 EI by 6, it will be equal to 8 EI by 6. Okay, now similarly at the far end, which is CB, which is my third coordinate, the moment that is generated is 2 EI by 6. Okay, now this completes the second column. Now let us go to third column. To go to third column, what we need to do is we need to apply the unit rotation at the third coordinate and determine all the force and movements, which we have done in this figure. Okay, so after applying the unit rotation at the third coordinate, the force or the reaction that is generated here is equals to minus 6 EI divided by 6 square. So henceforth at the first coordinate, the force is minus 6 EI divided by 6 square. Okay, whatever the reaction that you get will be the same force that is generated at the first coordinate. Okay, so the force that is created at the first coordinate is minus 6 EI divided by 6 square. Okay, minus 6 EI divided by 6 square. Now similarly, because of application of unit rotation at the third coordinate, the moment that is created at the second coordinate is 2 EI by 6. And now going to how much is the moment that is generated because of application of unit rotation at the third coordinate is 4 plus 4, which is equals to 8 EI by 6. Now this completes your stiffness matrix. Okay, you try to solve this stiffness matrix. If you find difficulty, you can ask me. Okay, right. So once you solve the stiffness matrix, next step is to solve for force matrix. To solve the force matrix, you need to determine how much is the fixed end moment. So you can determine the fixed end moment. You know that MFAB and MFBA is equal to 0, MFDC and MFCD is also equal to 0. The only two moments that you get is this two. Okay, now at this B, okay, MFBC and MFCB are being calculated, which is minus 44.44 and 22.22. Okay, now the first thing what we need to do is to see whether there is any force being applied at the first coordinate. This is my first coordinate. Whether force is being applied? No, there is no force at all. So that's why it is kept as 0. Okay, now going to my second and third coordinates. My second and third coordinates are movements because they are rotations. So let us take the summation of all the moments at the joint B, which is equals to fixed end moment at BC, which is minus 44.44. Similarly at C, it is 22.22. Now this completes my force matrix also. Okay, in future I will be solving more problems where I will try to explain how this force matrix will change if there is a force being applied at this joint. Okay, I will solve it later. Okay, now I hope this is very much clear how to solve the force matrix. So once you solve the force matrix, you know the drill. What is the next thing to be done? You need to find out the displacement matrix, where displacement matrix is inverse of stiffness matrix multiplied by the force matrix. I have calculated EI delta, EI theta B and EI theta C values. You can verify these unknown values with the same frame which has been solved by the slope deflection. Okay, you verify these unknown values which I determined from the slope deflection, and you can solve the further end moments. So how do you solve the next end moments? I'll just show you MAB. So MAB, as you know, is equals to MFAB plus of 2EI divided by L 2 theta A plus of theta B minus of 3 delta by L. You know this equation. So as we know, MFAB equal to 0 and theta A is also equal to 0. So what is left over is 2EI theta B divided by 6, right? So 6 EI delta divided by 6 square, right? Substitute EI theta B. How much is EI theta B? 42.85. How much is EI delta? EI delta is 28.56, and you see how much is the moment that you get. So the moment that I got after calculating is 9.523, and you can verify the same solution that you got from stiffness method and also the slope deflection method. You try to solve all the end moments, which is BA, BC, CB, CD and DC, and then you can comment in the comment section. Okay, so if you find any difficulty in solving any of the step, you can contact me. Thank you.